Hello, my friends. This is Rick, and we're continuing on with this would-be Cycle 7 prep work. And one of the things I'm doing a little different today is I went ahead and unplugged my headset because I have mixed opinions on my sound. I'm still struggling with whether or not I'm not trying to blast anybody's eardrums or hurt anybody's eardrums, but I noticed that when I'm using my headphones and I try to listen to this damn video when I'm in my truck at work, it's harder to listen to. I can max out the volume on the radio and on the cell phone, and I simply still have trouble with it. And I don't know if it's the headphone that's causing this or not. So I'm going to do this video without the headphone just for my own personal use, so I can understand whether it's working or not. Alright, so I'm looking at setting up my first platoon of militia for my house. I have yet to name my house, which I really should probably do. The plan is Fairwind, of course. Our unit name, I'm going to call it the first Fairwind Militia. And this would be first platoon, because it's a platoon, and that's when we have scale platoon. I don't have, let's just say we need an officer, so we're going to go, I don't know, let's put Sherry Case, and we're going to make her human. For simplistic sake, the house is just human. That makes her medium sized. She herself has 3 body points. We have no DR, no movement, none of this stuff. She has 5 soft points. She would be tried, which gives her 101. And that's 20% modifier. And it says it right here, it says divide by 20. And this is a remake of an older version. I have made numerous of these things. My intentions has always been to include in the back of one of the books a whole set of the various forms, so you could just copy them, or to have an internet website where you just go to get them. So in this case, like I said, this is going to be first platoon. I suppose I didn't need to put that there, but you know, such as it is. And it's going to have 25 troopers, or 24, because the officer counts as part of the platoon. So 24, and in this case, we're going to make her a lieutenant Sherry Case. And first platoon, and then we're going to look at this stuff for a second. All right, so platoons, the basic combat structure for infantry platoon base units. The standard platoon consists of 5 squads with the ability to add 1 or 2 additional support squads, i.e. heavy weapons, sniper, robotic, and so on. Small craft assigned to infantry platoons are counted as additional support squads for up to 6. When additional platoons, or when equipping platoons to a small craft, term blah blah blah, mounted infantry, blah 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 blah. So more importantly is we're going to go look at this portion here, because this is our description for a base light infantry platoon, which is the smallest, the newest, the weakest, if you will, of the options. And based on what we have for equipment, we don't have a lot of options. So in this case, we're going to have ballistic tech 1. Ballistic rifles. They're Tech 1, and then we'll go through all this stuff here in a minute. Let me find that section. Stone Age body armor. Who doesn't need Stone Age body armor? All right. We're also going to give them light body armor because that's what we have available to us. Standard ballistic shotgun. No. Where you at? Long arm. There we go. The standard ballistic rifle, BR, is what the acronym for it is. And its range is long. long range. Has soft points. Let's point further. Don't have anything on there for it, so soft point 1. So what it means by a soft point is potentially if I get my hands on a shotgun attachment, I could attach a shotgun, underbarrel shotgun to this thing, or I could attach a knife, combat knife to it. If I get targeting scopes or things like this, there's ways to enhance your weapon. In the case of this particular weapon style, I can only handle one of these things, and so on and so forth. There are it's 25 units to a ton, so ideally there will be 25 of these things to the platoon, and then so our level for these things is 1, and ammo is one shot per round or use, and 20 total. So the weapon holds 20 rounds and it shoots one at a time. So it's not a multi-fire weapon. Its attack modifier per hit is cat basis added to that. So let's see. Ammo rate of fire is 1. Ammo 20. Damage is 2 per hit. Reload uses 1 point to reload. Apparently my things are off down here just a hair. Of course they would be after I printed 20 of these sheets. And we don't care about the unit cost. The attack modifier is, where you at? Let's get all this in the right spot. Attack modifier is +8. Ammo. Rate of fire is 1. Ammo is 20. Damage is 2. How many we've used. I like to keep track of that. If we're in combat, we need to know how many times we've shot the weapon and used a round before it needs to be reloaded. And so our cat base is going to be based off of the unit skills and the captain or the lieutenant skills. So in the case of the troopers, each person has three. So 24 plus 1, and they're all medium sized, so each has 3 body points. So 25 is times 3 is 75 total body points. There is no unit, damage reduction yet, or unit armor points yet. Let's see. So we're going to go ahead and move on to. Oh yeah, let me get that combat knife. Give everybody a combat knife. So personal scale weapons. Combat knives, swords, whatever this, all tech 1, and you decide what the hell it is you wanna call it. So I'm gonna say combat knife. It's tech 1. It's point blank weapon. Don't know why it would have a soft point on it. There's no ammo, no rate of fire. Oh, we do have a modifier. And a modifier for this is +8. This is 8%. 8%. Damage is going to be 1. There's no use of it. No per hit. And then our cat bases. We'll get to that here in a minute. Armor. And just so we got some looks at this. All right, so when we talk about weapons, obviously weapons and equipment guide is what it means. So here's our body armor, but we have exotic personal scale weapons. We got aquatic gyro jets, Qatar and chain whips, aviary cockspurs, micro rockets. Remember to talk about that soft point on the rifle. So it's possible if we got our hands on some Tech 2 MRDs, we could attach those to that soft point on these rifles and give ourselves a single shot micro rocket for our troops. And small craft missile weapons, small craft rocket weapons, infantry support weapons, light machine guns, heavy light plasma cannons, light repeating phase cannons, medium scale weapons, heavy scale weapons, maser cannon, heavy phase cannon, auto gauze cannon, Indirect fire weapon, fire support like grenade launchers. Once again, that could be mounted on the bottom of one of them rifles. Heavy grenade launcher, which is an item unto itself, or takes more points. Never mind. Medium tubes. And we get into things like over here we've got scopes, laser targeting systems, poor environment systems for helping see in bad weather or exotic planets with stuff that's giving you regular binoculars, cybernoculars, etc. Laser spotting systems for handheld for spotting for other things. Shield defense systems, so you could have if we could get them, we could equip our troops with personal shield devices. We got robotic sensors, anti-missile systems, all-weather suits, hostile environments. See, these are important because basically our platoon here is using standard stuff that can't, so they're not suited to go into space or into an environment that's going to kill them if they're not protected. And if they need to be protected, the house needs to provide them with that stuff. So potentially there are things that we could, all-weather suit, for example, military and civilian grade. This is one of those items that I will task my factory to produce in some numbers at some point, because I'm going to need them if I want to operate on that Arctic moon. I'm going to need all-weather suits for my people, both agents and military. Otherwise, they're going to be at extremely disadvantage, and they're not going to last long. Camo equipment, luxury clothing, personal mobility devices. It just goes on and on. I mean, there's lots of stuff. So we go back to the body armor part, because that's the only other part thing I need to worry about. And we're going to give them LBR, light body armor, LBA, excuse me. So LBA, it's a Tech 1 item, and it has armor AP of 3. So here, soft points none, and units, how many it comes to a ton, how many's in a, how much they cost to produce them or purchase them. Anyway, so 3. This means my individual officer, they still have, there's a DR, damage reduction. There's no damage reduction on this stuff, so we would need a shield. It good shields to get damage reduction, so there is no DR and no unit damage reduction. Now unit AP, so if my individual officer would have an AP of 3, which I didn't think to include it, down here we'll have the units. So if each unit, each trooper has armor points of 3, 3 times 25 is going to be 75. So 75. So in theory, our platoon can can take 75 points of damage, and then once that happens, they start going through the body points. So they're also got potential for 75 body points. So once that armor reduction gets lost, you kind of want to vacate the field, in my opinion. Now, I'm at a scale right now where the odds are really slim that I'm going to use the entire platoon. If the time I'll sit down and actually role play out a combat scenario, and we will do that at some point down the road if I continue with this presentation. The idea would be we split this up into 5 squads, so 4 squads plus a squad in the officer. That way we have and it would all divide the same way, so each squad would be 1/5 of this. What, 7.5? Oh, 75, see 5, 15, 15, they would have 15 armor points and 15 body points, that kind of stuff. So this is pretty much what it comes down to create our first platoon. Now my house has the beginnings of a military unit. I also have discussed in a previous video, the house protector service has the equivalent of 2 platoons, and I will set them up at some later date too, probably off the camera. They will be set up by a squad level initially, so I would have this kind of format, but for squads, and I'm likely to take and put 2 to a page, because of space considerations. What I don't have here also is, oh, geez, just pay attention to your stuff, dumbass. There's where the armor goes. AP is 375. Stop point, none. None. Tech levels 1. Yeah, right. That is what it is. So in this case, we've got this place out scenario for creating the unit, and then I will create some squads based off of my protector service, and I will use a similar format. I was also going to say I do not have enough utility vehicles tonnage created to equip them. If I were to equip like I did my Rangers in my previous video that I did on creating Rangers and give them ATVs, each individual would need an ATV. That means I would need 25 ATVs, or I would need a total of 5 tons of utility vehicles to outfit this unit with ATVs, and then I would also probably need a technician. One of these soldiers would then have to default to becoming the unit tech to maintain the ATVs on that scale. Then there's also logistics issues on supporting them. Plus, there's also the practicality as a platoon. Ideally, once you give them vehicles, then they cease becoming light infantry, and they become motorized infantry of some sort, and they would become either recon. I'd either put them down as reconnaissance infantry or motorized infantry. And generally, you know, the key differences between scout and reconnaissance units in the primary roles, and same with infantry. And all intents purposes, this unit is going to double down on all that. I could create this in squad levels, and I may need to do that. I may need to break these down into smaller squads on a case-by-case basis, because it's all I have. And if my Rangers go out to this haven and get wiped out, I'm likely to send the troops in and wipe the haven out in return. Or send a much bigger, robust at this point, we're no longer observing and investigating. This place we're coming in to subjugate and explain how they are now part of the greater glories of our fledgling house. Anyway, so that's how we create the militia unit from the basics. Till next time, you guys have a great weekend.
Going on, my friends, this is Rick, and hey, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like